as like painful periods. So that is one that's pelvic
Wait
floor
a minute.
related. And
Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm so excited because we have a guest and we have Miss Jemila Medley here with us. She is a wife and mother of 2 boys, and she is the owner and pelvic floor occupational therapist at Mommas in Motion Health and Wellness here in Dallas. So first, welcome Jemila. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So just a little background here. I wanted you to come on here because I get a lot of mamas asking me questions about diastasis recti and what workouts to do, and they're just really, I think, they don't know where to go to get the right information. And as much as I love sharing with my community, I know I'm not a professional, and I always want to point them to the best information. And so that is you. And so today we're just gonna just talk, really answer some questions that the ladies had, and hopefully we can get them some good answers and get them going in the right direction. Sound
Yes.
good?
Sounds great.
Okay, so we'll start real basic, real simple.
Yes.
What do pelvic floor therapists do?
Okay. So your pelvic floor therapist in general, we look at the pelvic floor muscles. So I'm going to get out my little model here.
We're ready.
So you guys can see this is your pelvic floor, these muscles in red, externally and internally. So when we are doing pelvic floor therapy, we're looking at these muscles internally, externally, but we're also looking at the muscles and structures that are associated with all of these muscles. So that can be your hips, your glutes, your core, your upper body. Sometimes it's feet, plantar fasciitis, so many different things that can affect or be affected by the pelvic floor. So with pelvic floor therapy, we are, looking at these beautiful muscles that house your uterus, your bladder, your rectum, your major organs and intestines. But we are also looking at the way that your pelvic floor is functioning and the way that the rest of your body moves and functions in correlation with your pelvic floor.
Gotcha. So real quick here, for mothers in general, let's say you don't think you have diastasis recti or anything like that. Do you think that every mama should come and see a pelvic floor therapist after having a baby?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you are even considering trying to conceive or thinking about it, I would highly recommend, even women who, are like, oh, I don't think I want to have a baby until later on. There are so many benefits to seeing a pelvic floor therapist earlier rather than going in a little bit later, because most of us have lived with pelvic floor dysfunction for so long since we started potty training that we don't even realize that it is an issue. Some of the things that we experience, leaking with coughing or sneezing. So you would be amazed how many women I have seen and talked to who have never had a baby or have had babies and said, well, I actually was peeing my pants before I ever had a baby, or I actually was having pain with intercourse before I ever had a baby. And so those are just some small things that I have seen and heard, as well as painful periods. So that is one that's pelvic floor related.
Wait a minute.
And the doctors will say, oh, get on birth control to make the periods better. But then you end up having acne, hormonal imbalance, gut health issues, increased tension in the pelvic floor, so many things. So yes, to answer your question, I highly recommend, not just for pregnant moms or moms in general, but I would recommend for honestly any woman.
Wow. Okay. We're 2 minutes in and I'm okay, I need to book an appointment. What? I didn't know this was going to be about me. Wow. I am just amazed. I think as women, we really don't learn about our body until it's too late. We're pregnant.
Yep.
And then you're learning all this stuff. Wait, what? That is amazing. For mamas and non-mamas, we need to come see you. Okay. Wow. Okay. So when we come see you, I have not been, okay? So I'm actually going to book an appointment with you because I was one of those, like, there's nothing like going on, like everything healed, but I'm going to book an appointment with you. And now I'm interested. What would this look like? Like, what are you going to look at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So initial evaluation for me, for our practice personally, we do about an hour and 15 to an hour and a half for initial evaluation. In that time together, we are going through medical history review, routines of like, what are your habits? Because again, a lot of times women don't realize that they have poor pelvic floor habits until they start talking to me about their habits. And I'm like, well, actually, and then that's when the wheels start turning. We go through a core assessment. So I do a thorough core assessment, not just for diastasis recti, but for abdominal weakness in general. Poor core coordination, core function. We go through a breathing assessment. So I assess the actual breathing patterns with the rib cage, diaphragm, and then we start working on proper diaphragmatic breathing techniques specific to you as an individual, what cues, what positions work best for your body and your core, so that way you can best connect to the pelvic floor. In some cases, we might do an internal and or external pelvic assessment. Now, I am not one to just like do an internal assessment just because, but if based on our conversation and the things that you're kind of telling me and I'm hearing, if I believe that doing an internal assessment will be most effective in order for me to then be able to give you the most appropriate exercises and cueing, then I recommend it. But there are always ways that we can externally assess as well, and still try to get you to that point to reach your goals. Additionally, we go through a full movement assessment. So I do, like walk testing, I do hip mobility drills, just seeing how your entire body is moving. Are you compensating with one part of your body because you have shoulder tightness, and then that correlates to pelvic floor tightness? Do you tuck your butt when you walk or carry your kids? That's a huge one. A lot of times I'll kind of just have you go through different movement patterns and see how your body is moving and functioning. So that way I can then help you to change your form, change your positioning, and in turn change your habits and the way that your pelvic floor and your core heal. So it is definitely, it's funny because I had someone inquire a while ago and she's like, well, 75 minutes is a long time. Like, I just don't foresee us spending that whole time together. And then we went over her session. We went like 10 minutes over and she was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, it goes by fast because we're really going through things and you're learning things about your body that you never knew.
Yeah, it sounds like, 75 minutes does sound like a whole lot of time, but I can see how you could really, just, you're truly like spending the proper amount of time to get the full story, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think, especially moms, like when we think about pelvic floor, we're really thinking about abs, girl. Like we're just thinking about that, and that's it. And we're like 75 minutes for this, like, but it truly is full body is what I'm understanding from this. And that's amazing. Cause I definitely didn't think your feet could like affect, or your shoulders, your pelvic floor strength. And wow. I'm just, okay. So about 75 minutes for the appointment, just to do the assessment, which is amazing. And then I guess another big question I kept getting was, is it too late? Like, I am 7 years postpartum. Like, is it, too late to come see you? Is there ever a time where the damage that is done is not reversible?
That is a wonderful question. I get this question all the time. It is never too late for you to start working on your healing. Now, the longer we wait, just like with anything, like a knee injury, the longer we wait to address these issues, the worse that it could potentially get. The symptoms could get increasingly more difficult, and the ability for it to heal may get a little bit more difficult. It might take a little bit more time to get to that goal, but it is absolutely possible. And I always recommend, even if you are like 20 something years postpartum, right? If you are having a bladder prolapse or you're having pain with intercourse, your diastasis recti, you never really addressed it. We can still start working toward healing it, but because you've waited so long, we still may have to consider some of those non-invasive or surgical options. But pelvic floor therapy is always my first recommendation to avoid any of that.
Amazing. Amazing. So, another question that I get probably daily is, first of all, like, what exercises to do if I have a 4-finger gap, right? All these questions that I'm not qualified to answer, and I don't. I'm like, hey, you might want to reach out to, this pelvic floor therapist. She's amazing. I want to know, and I guess the ladies want to know really, is it better if you do know that you have a gap or whatever that you're trying to heal, is it better to work out or to refrain from working out? And really they're in fear of causing more damage to their abdomen. What would you say?
So this is a both and kind of question, because we want to start working on healing diastasis recti. The sooner you start working on it, the sooner we're going to start healing. A lot of women don't start working on it out of fear, and then that's when the symptoms get worse. The back pain can become debilitating. Then we start to compensate with using other parts of our body. So then our form starts to change. We start having less strength in the glutes. So your anatomy almost starts to change in other parts of your body because you haven't been working on your core out of fear. And in order for you to actually heal, you do need to be working on it. But we need to make sure that we work on it the right way, because if you do, then there's that other side, is that if you do something or repetitive exercise that's going to create more injury to the abdominals, then you're going to make it worse, which then could also create more pelvic floor back pain related issues. So my biggest recommendation to moms who are either fearful or just like in that place where they're like, do I work out? Do I not work out? Please at least see a pelvic floor therapist or a diastasis recti specialist to help you to at least lay the foundation of your core healing. Your foundation is going to be your diaphragmatic breathing, your positioning, your core activation, and positioning with how to incorporate those skills into your exercise. There's things all over the internet like, oh, these are diastasis safe exercises, or don't do this with diastasis recti. And it's less about not doing the exercise because it's not diastasis safe, and it's more about modifying, adapting the exercise so that way it is appropriate for your diastasis recti healing. Because ultimately you can progress with diastasis recti to a full side plank.
Right.
We just need to make sure that that foundational layer is laid first, because like side planks can be a great way to actually heal diastasis recti. But again, we have to like make sure that we create that good foundation. We're starting from the inside out. And I think a lot of times when people think about diastasis recti, they're thinking about the outside and the appearance and the gap itself, rather than the internal strength that will then help with the external.
Gotcha. That is so good to like just know, because I really got my information from a trainer that specialized right in this. And I thought, okay, like I'm getting everything I need to know. And although I did learn a lot, I'm learning now. I probably needed to know a little bit more. I'm honest, because it's, that when you work with a trainer, you're focusing on the outside, the appearance. Is the belly going down? And so all of those things have happened. But, even for myself, like I'm like, okay, I need to go see you. I need to come see you because I don't know what's going on internally,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to really make sure I'm healed. I want to have more children, and so definitely, I think changing our mindset from just looking at the outside and saying, oh, she's healed or she's not healed, to like, no, you can still have stuff going on and the appearance, you know.
Yes.
That's amazing. No, yeah, I definitely, my husband's about to hear it. Like, yeah, I'm making an appointment.
It's funny when you said, you know, just shifting your mindset. One of my favorite like things that I say a lot to my clients is you can have a six pack and literally have still the weakest core and internal pelvic floor issues. Like I have had people who have rock solid six pack and are peeing their pants every time they cough, are having back pain every time they go to do a front squat with weight. And they just push through it because they're told, and in their mindset, they're like, well, if I lift heavier, I'm going to have stronger glutes, or, you know, I have to meet this PR. So it's not always, you know, what it appears when you see these professionals who, or fitness people who have everything on the outside and they look like snatched, but could very well be having pelvic floor issues, and this could affect their pregnancies and postpartum in the future.
I am so excited. I think if you let me, I'm going to document this because
I was going to tell you, I was actually going to recommend that if you wanted to like vlog it, you could totally do that. Yeah.
I want women to see this because I think it would be, I mean, I'm not wishing, you know, anything on myself, but like to just see, like, you know, you can look at someone and be like, wow, I want to be like this, or I want to look like this, and not know the true, you know, story of what's going on in the inside. Because I know for myself, as you started talking, I was like, man, my glutes like are not as strong as like they used to be when I would work out. And so I'm having such this like internal battle of like, what do I need to do? Do I need to lift more? As you talk, I'm like, I think I have some stuff going on that I have not addressed, you know, but you are taught like in society to push through. That's normal. You're a mom now. Everything abnormal becomes normal when you're a mom. Oh, you're just a mom, you know? And so I think we're willing to settle with a lot more discomfort and never question it. And this is just like so life-giving to me because I'm like, you know what? I don't have to settle for this. I don't have to just be like, I'm a mom, so that's why, you know, things have changed. That's amazing. Oh man. Okay. So now I'm lucky because I'm here in Dallas. Okay. Yes. I am probably like maybe 30 minutes away from you. But for the ladies that are not and are interested in your services, do you offer anything online or?
Yes. Yay! So I have a lot of virtual sessions today. I work with moms virtually, depending on your state. Like if it is a state that I'm licensed in, then it can actually be pelvic floor therapy. So I can there's a whole way that we can kind of go through external, internal assessments. But if you are in a state that I'm not licensed in, then it is considered coaching, and we go through general exercise for you, specific to you, for your diastasis recti, your pelvic floor. And I can coach you through healing. And even during pregnancy, I have had virtual moms who are preparing for labor and delivery, and preparing for their postpartum healing. I also offer online courses and programs for the moms who are like, you know what, I don't have a consistent amount of time every week or every month to, you know, jump on a live call with you. I do offer those self-paced online programs and courses for diastasis recti healing. I have a full exercise program, a 14-week program for diastasis recti healing and for connecting to the pelvic floor and the core. So I have tried to create something for everyone across the board, whether you are in Dallas or not.
I love that. I love that we can all come and get some good information from you and just start our healing journeys. You know, I think I've been like so excited to really interview with you and just chat because I was like, we all need this. But I kept thinking, if I'm like honest, like they need this, but no, it's actually like we need this.
We all can benefit. And I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, if you think for 1 second that I don't have my own pelvic floor therapist, you're crazy.
Boom.
Because I have a trusted pelvic floor therapist who I see because I cannot treat myself all the time. And, and I think too, after I had my second baby, who is 11 months, and I was coming back to work and clients were like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, listen, I see my pelvic floor therapist. Just as you come to see me, I see someone as well. And so I think normalizing that, like, we all need healing and specialized healing and treatment for our own selves.
I love that. Okay, real quick. Is there one tip you could give us, just like a little tip that we could take away today and really start to, strengthen our pelvic core and just start that healing?
Yes. Okay. So, whenever I have to like narrow it down to like one, I'm like,
Okay.
which one is it going to be? Okay. So one thing I want you to do today, as you watch this, as you go about the rest of your day, is to think about relaxing your butt.
Okay.
Especially when you are standing and picking up your children. I want you to relax your butt. There are going to be times, especially when you're like standing, if you're holding a kid on the hip or baby wearing, if you are standing at the kitchen sink, I want you to literally think like, okay, unclench my butt. And you'd be amazed because you probably 9 times out of 10, your butt was clenched. And this clenching in the butt is a core and pelvic floor related issue. And literally, like, sometimes when we make that change and then we start practicing breathing with your diaphragm and your rib cage, it's like this light bulb happens and a shift just changes in so many moms. So I would say that's my number one tip. Unclench your butt. And really be intentional about your posture and your positioning, especially when you are caring for your kids. A lot of times we as moms, and in the fitness world in general, we see fitness as like, oh, I'm getting stronger because I just want to look a certain way. Right. But like, we're moms and our strength is for life. It's for our daily function. It's to be able to pick up our kids, to be able to run, jump, pick up the groceries in one trip, be able to do all these things that we need to do to thrive and survive motherhood. So I want you to start thinking about like the skills that you practice when it comes to your diastasis recti, your core healing, your pelvic floor healing, as skills that are not just for your 30-minute to an hour exercise, but for the rest of your day. And try to carry those things through.
That is amazing. That is amazing advice. Quick little story. My labor was like 50 hours. I had a home birth, but it was because my doula, Kelsey, hey Kelsey, she kept telling me, she was like, unclench your butt, unclench your butt. And I was like, I am. But I didn't even, she wasn't telling me like that's pelvic floor related. But now that you're saying, I've had this issue. Like I have had, and when you told us to relax our butt, my butt was clenched. So there's that. I think that is amazing because I would never even think about, is my butt clenched? I really thought that was like a labor thing, but for that to really be a signal of my body saying like, yeah, pelvic floor, a little weak, wow. Okay, I have some things to do. Okay, and I just love this for the women, of course, in my community, most of them being moms, but also for like non-moms, to get this information just early so that you're like not surprised, or 3 years after you have your kids, you're like, wait, there's pelvic floor therapists? Because I had no clue what a pelvic floor therapist was. If it wasn't for my doula, I don't think I would have gotten that information from my doctor, my OB that I had at the time. So I just think this is just amazing information. I love what you do, just for women in general. So thank you for just spending time with us and giving us all this amazing information. And I guess before you go, real quick, what is one piece of advice that you would want to give to all the mamas tuning in, pelvic floor related or not? Just a word from Jemila.
Yes. One piece of advice that I think helps a lot of the moms that are not only my clients, you know, this is my ministry and one of my ministries. And one thing that I think that has been really helpful, even for me as a mom, is to think about the way that I heal, right? The way that you heal, the way that you allow yourself to invest into this vessel that we have been given. This affects the way that you function for your family long term. And it's really hard for us as moms to prioritize ourselves and to invest into ourselves. I have been there myself many times where I'm like, okay, Jemila, like you have to practice what you preach. I know you're in a season where it is hard to take 30 minutes for yourself every day, but if you don't, what will be the downfall later on? Is it your mental health? Is it your physical health? Is it your emotional health? Is it your marriage? What is it? And sometimes we have to say no to other things in order to say yes to ourselves, which then says yes to our family and yes to our kids and yes to our husbands. So I encourage you that whatever it is that is essentially like your reasoning or excuse almost this week of why you haven't had any time for yourself, I want you to say no to those things, even if it means the house is going to be dirty for 20 minutes and the kids are going to be on the tablets for 20 minutes so I can go and do what I need to do. Then I encourage it because you are important. And if you don't invest into yourself, then that's also going to be something that your kids are going to see. And it becomes this cycle of not investing into ourselves. So.
Wow. I love that. I literally got chills. I truly feel like just the Holy Spirit over that message for you ladies to take care of yourself, you know, just above all else. I love that. We all need that reminder as moms. I think we so quickly go from like taking the best care of ourselves when we're pregnant, you know, because we're the home, you know, for the baby, to literally neglecting everything we need for everyone else. And we are the backbone. We make, you know what I mean, everything go from, you know, caring for our children and our husbands. And so that is amazing advice. And I just thank you so much for that. That blessed me. I know it's going to bless them. Girl, I thank you for your time, spending some time with us. And just
thank
sharing.
you so much for having me.
Of course. I will see you soon.
Yes.
I'm gonna get on your
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. What is your website really quick before we jump off?
It is my practice website is Mommas in Motion, MOMMASIN motion.com. And my personal website is JemilaMedley.com. You can find all of my online courses and programs on either website.
Perfect. Well, I will be checking out those as well as making my appointment. But thank you so much, Jemila, for your time. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later, all right?
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.